The next guy is also a local roofing company here, and you are about to get, he's one of my favorite speakers. And I don't say that lightly because I know all the greats. I know everybody. You know, I didn't know you were going to be that good, Dustin. You did a great job. You know, Josh, Tony, you guys did a great job too. But this guy one time he asked me, he said, hey man, I'd like to speak at one of your events. And I get that daily. It's probably the most fucking annoying question I get asked, you know, because I have 10,000 friends, 81,000 people have bought my products, right? And everybody wants to get on stage, and most of them just want to tell their story that nobody gives a fuck about. You know what I mean? Every day somebody that hasn't broke 6 figures yet, it's like, dude, I'd like to tell the story about how I was adopted. Yeah, but nobody cares about that. No offense, but go do something successful and then use that as a sticking point. So this guy, he's very successful, but he asked me, he said, hey man, I'd really like to get into speaking. I'd like to get on your stage. And I thought, okay, you know, you carry yourself well, you're dressed really good. I'm gonna give him a shot. He gets up on stage and he wins the closer contest at MDM, if you were there last year. And man, I put him on a trial in an event like this first before I put him on stage at MDM, right? Because that's a big risk just to put somebody in front of 2,000, 3,000 people, right? And all of a sudden you see the audience walk away and shit, right? So I put him on trial in an event like this, and he blew my fucking mind with his speech. He just gave so much value that I had note after note after note of stuff. He just was like the hit factory, man. And so when we decided to do this event, the very first person that I contacted was our next speaker. I said, man, I got to get you up here and you got to pour and just do the same shit you did that one time. And he said, I got something better now. God damn, I don't know how you're going to beat that, but okay, right? And I'm not trying to put a bunch of pressure on you, big dog, but it's the truth, right? So let's give a huge round of applause for my friend, Nehal Kaiser.
Turn me to a superhero, Hit that bill, turn me to a superhero, When my night is turn me to a superhero,
Beautiful, beautiful. There we go. Guys, good morning. Yeah, that's a whole lot of pressure. Definitely need you to know that. I don't know if I'm that good. But I do want to tell you guys what I'm here to do today. My intention here is to add some value to you guys, just share some of the things that I've learned over my career, and hopefully there's like a nugget or two that you could take away. I get to talk about a subject that's actually very important for me, and I think it's arguably the most important thing in any business, which is culture. So I'm going to explain culture to you in a way that hopefully you've never heard before. I'm going to really dive into the specifics and give you specific, tangible things that you could take home with you today. I want you guys to be able to jot this down for me real fast, please. A strong, positive, winning culture is undefeated against time. And I'm going to dive into that. I'm just going to say that one more time for everyone to write down. A strong, positive, winning culture is undefeated against time. Here's the beautiful thing about culture. It's something that you should be able to hear. It's something that you should be able to see, and it's definitely something that you should be able to feel. And that's what we're going to go into today. So I've broke culture down into an acronym, and please, take some good notes, because my intention here is for you to be able to take it back with your teams and share this and hopefully give them the game as well. So I'm going to start off with the first letter in culture, and of course that letter is C. And C is core principles and core values. Now, I want to really explain what this means, okay? And I've got a good friend of mine here in the audience, and he's a mentor of mine as well. And he's heard me tell this story to other people before, but it's the first time he's ever going to hear me say it live. So he probably told me, it was about 10 years ago. And just so you guys know, he's a command sergeant major in the Army. He retired after 25 years. He's a phenomenal individual, and he's in the back. His name is Melvin Williams. So you guys want to give him a round of applause. So. And, 10 years ago, he was talking to me, and he was like, listen, bro, I'm going to tell you something, and you can't forget this shit, all right? And this is a very angry-looking dude, so when he tells you some shit like that, like, you need to pay attention closely. And he said, listen, don't mess with no motherfucker with no backbone. Excuse my language. And back then, it didn't mean that much to me. I was like, okay, I got you. And as I grew older and as I matured, I really put some thought into what he said, because he said it over and over and over again. He'd be like, oh, that guy don't have a backbone. She doesn't have a backbone. And I was like, man, he really feels passionate about this. And what he was essentially saying is, don't associate, do business with, be friends with anyone who does not have a set of core values and principles that they stand by, because under the right circumstance, they will fold on you. Maybe that's for the right woman, maybe that's for the right dollar amount, maybe that's for the right business opportunity, the list goes on. And that's something that's stuck with me for many, many years now. So as I put some more thought into that, I said, why does that rule not apply to businesses? Because when someone's coming on board, they should know exactly what you stand for from a fundamental perspective, right? They should know, hey, these are the values and principles of this company, and they will not shy away from these things. We have 5 core principles. I'm not going to go into all of them, but I do want you to hear them, what they are, so maybe it gives you an idea of maybe what you can use if you don't have some already. The first one is family. The second one is tough, honest love. The third one is loyalty. The fourth one is extreme ownership. And the fifth one is the pursuit of excellence. That's who we stand for at Blue Hammer. That's who we are. And I'm going to give you guys an example of a story that happened in late 2021. We had a guy on our team. And he's what you would call, we're all roofers, right, or the majority of us. He's what you would call like a general manager. We call him a market partner. He ran our market in Austin, Texas. Right? He worked the whole year, and he was doing such a great job for us. And him and I are sitting down one day, and we're running through his stats, and I'm with our accounting team, and we're seeing how much money he's made for 2021. And the numbers just seemed a little bit off to me. It looked like he was a bit underpaid. So I shot it over to our accounting team and the partners, and I was like, hey, guys, can we take a quick look at this? Something just seems a little bit off. Our accounting team runs through the numbers, and we owe this guy $80,000. 80 grand, which is a lot of money. And to put things in perspective, now, thank God, we've been able to do a private equity deal and all the rest of it, and our business has grown and you know, yada, yada, yada. Back then, we were a young company. Back then, myself and my partners were not getting paid certain weeks and certain months out of the time. Because we were growing so fast, we almost couldn't keep up our production. So it was either, hey, our people get paid, our crews get paid, or we get paid. And believe me, we definitely wanted it to be us, but that wasn't the right thing to do. So we made sure everybody else got paid. So money wasn't like it was just flying around. So I shared with you our 5 core principles. And we sat down as partners and we realized we owe this guy $80,000. You know the beautiful thing about having core principles and values? There was no thinking involved. Our core principle says family and loyalty. And you owe someone $80,000, what are you supposed to do? Pay him the damn money, it's his. So we hit him up, hey man, it was a bit of a miscalculation, we owe you a few dollars, and we wired him $80,000. Because it's the right thing to do. And here's what I've learned. The people who don't actually have a set of core principles and values that they live by, unfortunately, every tough decision is a full blown out thought process, and it's a long calculation that takes them forever, and a lot of times that leads to decision fatigue, when the reality is the answer is already right here. You just need to fall back on your principles, your values, and they'll guide you to exactly where you need to go. So as I wrap up this first letter, here's my actionable item for everybody in this room. If you have not done so already, I challenge you, and really I encourage you, to make sure you write down a set of core values and principles that you live by. And remember, these aren't just in the business, because these same principles and values should also apply in your personal life, in your home, especially if you're a leader in your home. Because what's the old saying? If you don't stand for something, fall for anything, right? Have some strong core values, core principles. We're going to go over to the next letter. The next letter is unified. The next letter is U, which is for unified. Here's what unified means. Unified means I may not always agree with you, but we share a common goal, we share a common ideal. That's what unified means. That means we are in this thing together. That means the name on the front is more important than the name on the back. That means we're working towards what's right and not who's right. That's what unified means. And I was sharing this story with somebody, and I was encouraged not to share the story, so naturally, I'm going to share the story. And this is the best way that I can explain it. It was probably about 5-6 years ago. There was a buddy of mine, and we were out having a few drinks. And by few, I mean a lot. And yeah, we got into an argument. And this argument was about to lead to a fight. And here's what happened. We're about to get in a fight. We're screaming at each other. We're in a public place, not a good look. And I had a girlfriend at the time. And some guy comes over and starts talking to her while I was right there. And like without even thinking about it, both of us went from arguing here, looked over, and we both went towards that dude. That's what being unified means. It's the best example that I can give you. Because we can have our bullshit, we can have our argument, we can have our moment, but if you disrespect us and you go against us, no, we have a common goal, we have a common ideal. You're not going to do that. Because the best relationships in business and even at home, there is that argument. You should be challenging each other. People should be bringing different ideas to the fold. And if it's just you talking and everyone's just listening, you don't really have that much of a relationship. It's more of a dictatorship. That's all it is. So there's nothing wrong with the arguments. There's nothing wrong with the disagreements. Bring those. Welcome those. As long as at the end of the day, we're focused on the same goal, wanting to get to the same place. How we get there is not as important as us actually getting there. And that's you for us, and that's being unified. The next letter is L, and L stands for language. Language is a really, really cool thing when it comes to cultures, right? Even if you just think about the cultures around the world, how important is language in South America, in the Middle East, in America? We're totally different styles, right, in how we communicate. Here's something I want you to know about language, and here's something I need you to pay attention to. They say 93% of communication is nonverbal, right? Which means body language, facial expressions, tonality. And only 7% is actually verbal. That means 93% of what we're saying, we're not actually saying. So I want to give you two different spins on this, okay? One spin on language is when you see a group of people interact, maybe think about your favorite sports team. When it's a winning environment, there's high fives, slaps on the helmet, pats on the butt, whatever it is, hugs. I paid attention to when our team meets. And it's all, what's up, brother? Hugs, daps. There's a level of communication there that symbolizes unification, trust, like we're in this thing together. Versus, have you ever seen two people interact that don't get on well? Night and day, ain't no hugs, there's no kisses. It's just like from a distance, what's up, man? That's it, that's all you get. And people pay attention to that. So that's 93% on how we treat each other in terms of language. The other 7% is the actual words that are coming out of our mouth, right? And that 7% is also very important because there's a whole book there's a whole chapter on this in a great book. If you haven't read it, it's called The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And one of the 4 agreements is be impeccable with your word. And he talks about how sometimes we can say words to people and we can cast spells on them. And I don't mean to get like spiritual or like weird about that, but think about what that means. Think about how powerful it is if you've got a child or you got a kid and that kid at school is being told that they're fat or they're ugly. What do you think they're going to start to believe as they grow up? That's it. And they're going to start acting accordingly. Versus a child who's told, wow, you're so beautiful, you're so pretty, you're so fantastic. They're going to carry themselves a totally different way. The words that come out of our mouth are very, very important. And if you read the chapter in this book called Be Impeccable with Your Word, it'll illustrate a lot of that. You got to be speaking good, positive things with your team. Somebody messes up, you pick them back up. You give them some tough, honest love, you redirect them, you build them back up because we're trying to build something special. We're trying to build a strong culture, right? You'd be surprised at how many teams I've seen over the years where it's just a constant beatdown. And then they wonder why all their people leave. Nobody wants to stay. They're not recruiting or attracting people because the word's gone out. It's a shitty place to work. Got to be super careful with your language, the nonverbal and the verbal. Let's go to the next letter. The next letter is T. And T stands for tribe. This is a beautiful one. T stands for tribe. Here's what I want you to think about. You've got young kids at a very, very young age that join gangs. Blood in, blood out, right? Knowing that the only way they're going to get in is if they get their ass whooped, and the only way they're going to get out is quite possibly getting their ass whooped again, if not something worse like killed or something along those lines. And they still choose to go in. Why? You've got people who join their country's military knowing there's a strong possibility they may get called to war and they may also die. Why? Why do all the team sports get all the attention, the recognition, and the most amount of participation versus the golfs and the tennis? Think about it. Listen, you can be the biggest, baddest, strongest, meanest, toughest mofo in the world, but you also want to be a part of something that's greater than you. Period. And the reality is this. It's the same reason why a lot of us have joined Apex. It's the same reason why a lot of you guys are here today. It's the same reason why we join teams and companies that fit our values. Because at the end of the day, doing it alone, it's not that exciting. You can have it all, right? You can have it all. You can have every car that you want, every vacation that you want. You can have everything. But if you're doing it alone, tell me how much fun that is. It sucks. We all want to be a part of something that's far greater than ourselves. And I want you to think about that. There's a good buddy of mine, a lot of you guys know him, his name's Kurt, and we talk about something that's called being standalone versus being left alone. And I want to explain what this means because this really applies to our business. A lot of times we got a top performer on our team and they're really good at what they do and they like their space. They don't want to be micromanaged. They don't want that high level of accountability, and rightfully so, because they know exactly what the hell they got to do day in, day out. They don't need somebody calling them, babysitting them, checking up on them. Great. But here's the mistake we make as leaders, and I've done this many a times. We leave them alone. Off to the side. Because we think that's what they want. And I'm going to tell you something, that's not what they want. And I'm going to tell you what happens over an extended period of time. When they're left alone, they feel like no one's with them anymore. They feel like no one's giving them the support that they need. They feel like they're just doing their own thing. And then eventually the thoughts start creeping in. What do I even need these guys for? They don't even care about me. What's the point in being a part of this team? I don't even feel the culture anymore. Meanwhile, you think you're doing the right thing by giving them all that space. How you want to handle those people is you want them to be standalone and not left alone. Standalone means I'm still checking up on you. I'm still calling you. We're still meeting. I'm still providing a level of accountability. I'm still adding value to your life. I'm still valuable to you. And I'm still going to give you game and help you get to the next level. That's what those guys want. Because who in this room has had a top performer leave them at some point because we gave them too much space? Has anyone had that happen before? A decent amount of us have. Listen, at the end of the day, if you truly understand that everyone just wants to be a part of something that's far greater than themselves, it'll change the way you operate your business. You'll want to bring your people closer because you'll understand deep down that's all they want at the end of the day. Excellent. Let's go to the next slide. Unique. I want you guys to think about, everyone's heard of Google? Okay, cool. You never know, roofers, you know? Computers ain't really our thing. You guys heard about the culture that they have at Google? You don't gotta know a ton about it, but they're kind of known for having some pretty cool things. They got little areas that you can go take a nap, at work, wild, right? They're really known for their work-life balance. They give extra time, paid-off time versus the average company. They do a lot of different things that the average company will not do. Makes them very unique. And truthfully, it makes them very attractive. You've got Apple, who is building a spaceship-style building, and I don't know if you guys have heard, but they're going to house 12,000 people on campus. Have you guys heard of that? That makes them very unique. So what I want you to think about when it comes to your business from an attraction power perspective, right? Outside looking in, what makes your business unique? What makes it stand out? What makes it special? Because if you're just like everyone else in the room, why would I want to come join you? Why would she want to come join you? Why would he want to come join you? Same shit. There's a lot of different things that we can do to make our businesses unique. You don't have to have this beautiful office and house 12,000 people. That's not what it takes. But you got to think about the uniqueness in each and every single individual company. I asked recently, as I was speaking on this subject, in front of our team, I asked a couple people, I said, hey, if you're relatively recent on our team and you just joined us, can you please share with the rest of the team, why'd you join us? Like, what's the reason? And I had two people get up, and I remember their answers, and one of them's right here in the room. And she got up and she said, I had been following you guys for 4 years on social media. 4 years. You guys know how long we've been around? 4 years. She's been following us since day one, just to see, are they the real deal? Are they really what they say they are? Are they just full of shit? She got up in front of the room, and she said, I came from a company where people didn't even door knock together. It was every man for himself. We didn't roll together. We didn't do anything together. You showed up, you went to go knock, you're done, and that's it. And if that's what you're doing right now, I'm not knocking it if it works for you. But I'm going to tell you something. One of the most difficult things to do is to go knock doors, period. We've all done it, yeah? And then imagine having to go do that day in, day out alone. And 99% of what you hear is no, leave, get out, hell no, and no answers. People screaming at you. How much more difficult does that become when you've got no support there? It sucks. And it's not for everybody. Door knocking's difficult as it is. And then when you have people go do it alone, it becomes that much more difficult. And she said, I watched you guys for the longest. We invited her to one of our galas, one of our company galas, and she showed up and she felt the culture. She felt the camaraderie. She saw what we were all about. It was more than just the door knocking. She realized it was a group of individuals that shared a common ideal and a common goal, that we all want to get to the same place and we all want to get there together, and we're all willing to help each other out to get there together. And I'm not saying this to talk about our company, because that's not what this is about. I'm simply sharing an example with you on what unique can mean to each and every single individual. In addition to that, she said, at that last company, people would take each other's deals. This person would take my prospect and put it under their name, and it would be their sale. And when you listen to what people are saying, what she was really saying, if you listen between the lines, she's saying, hey, I did not feel safe or comfortable at this company because of their practices. And then I saw you guys, and I felt safe, and I felt comfortable because it was a family. And that holds the value in this individual's eyes. So you know the one thing that we must always give her and smother her with? Exactly how she wants to be loved. Exactly how she wants to be taken care of. And the worst thing anyone can do in this room or in our business to someone like that is what? Take her deal. Make her feel like she's not part of the team, because as soon as that happens, she's gone. But sometimes we're not asking these questions. We're not paying attention to what people are saying, because everyone's telling you something without actually telling you what they want to say sometimes. Just how we sometimes prefer to communicate. The other guy was an ex-Marine. He served in the Marine Corps for 4 years, real good dude. And he had been door knocking with other companies, and he had been following us for a couple years as well. And he said something similar. He said, since I left the Marine Corps, I haven't felt a level of unity, team, camaraderie, and support. And he had been at multiple companies, and he's a rock star. He ain't no chump. He's a rock star. And he's, I've been following you guys. I've been paying attention to you guys. I'd been communicating with you guys. And as soon as I saw that, I knew exactly where I needed to be. Your unique can be whatever you need it to be, but you got to ask yourself, and you got to ask yourself truthfully, what is making your business unique today? Maybe sometimes it's in your process. Because a piece in our process is this. When we're bringing people on board, and I'm talking to a bunch of people who are in roofing, when you come on board with us as a project manager, as a salesperson, your responsibility is to sell roofs. We have a supplementing team in-house. We have a quality control team in the house. All you have to do is focus on selling roofs. That makes us unique because you know what salespeople hate to do? Paperwork. You guys know this. You guys are laughing for a reason. They hate that shit. So you know what could be unique about your business? You want to attract top-tier talent? Put them in a position where they can dial in on what they enjoy to do. I'll put it to you this way, for those of you guys that are sports people in here, right? If you're a shooting guard in basketball, right? It's in the title. What do you really enjoy to do? You like to shoot. But imagine after practice, coach tells you, hey, I need you to stay back and go against this 7-footer and get rebounds against him. And I need you to win 100 rebounds. How painful is that going to be? It's going to suck. You're not going to want to stay on that team. You're going to dread every single moment of it because that's not what you enjoy to do. So you know what we have our shooting guards doing? We have them shooting. So I want you to think about, again, what's going to make your business unique. Let's go over to the R. We're down to our final couple letters. Rituals. I'm going to share a ritual with you guys, and it's not one that I've created, but it's an old Native American ritual. It's from a book called 11 Rings by Coach Phil Jackson. Is that anyone, you guys heard of Coach Phil Jackson? Coach Michael Jordan, Coach Kobe Bryant. He won 11 rings. That's like basketball rings. That's why they call it that. He's an animal. He's known as the Zen Master. He's a real spiritual guy. He's known as the Zen Master. So I remember reading this book. I was in Lake Charles, Louisiana. They had just had that hurricane, right? And it destroyed Lake Charles, Louisiana. Has anyone been before? Is anyone from there? Okay, yeah, it's not that nice of a city. But I just want to make sure I didn't want to offend anybody. Sorry if you are. I love Louisiana. I love the food's great. People are sweet. Lake Charles ain't it. We were there for 4 months. I stayed in a house with 10 of my guys. And I stayed in a room on an air mattress for 4 months with 2 big-ass dudes. There was like 0 room in that house. That house was absolutely disgusting. It was terrible because half the time we didn't have electricity and we barely started getting water a little bit later. So we had to have generators and fans. It was terrible. But I can only imagine what it was like for the people that actually went through it. That was the real tragedy, not the 4 months we were there having to, do what we did. And I stayed up and I kept reading this book. And he talks about this Native American ritual. It's a beautiful, beautiful ritual. And you guys should maybe even write this down, maybe practice this at some point. So the ritual goes like this. Whenever a fellow tribe member would pass away, they'd sit around a campfire, and each member of the tribe would share one thing about that individual that they loved, that they remembered them for, and then they take either an article of clothing from that individual or something that they had that was a personal item, and they throw it in the fire, just as a nice way of saying goodbye and a thank you and a recognition for everything that individual had done to impact their lives. It's a beautiful, beautiful ritual. I say this because as I was reading this book, I was like, you know what? We should do that. Nobody died. I want to make that clear. Nobody died out there. We were good. Lake Charles, we were fine. So one of the nights, I asked everyone to do something. I know it sounds kind of corny and cheesy, but it was actually pretty cool. We set up a campfire and asked everyone on a piece of paper to write down something that they really appreciated about the experience of being able to serve these people. Because remember, this was a true catastrophe. Like, people's homes were wrecked. Like, homes were destroyed. This wasn't like just a roof was ripped off. Like, homes were destroyed and families were troubled. People had to, never got their home back. Some people had to leave for months. Their city was just absolutely wrecked. So I felt like it was more than just roofs and sales for us. So each individual wrote something down on a sheet of paper, and we went around the circle, and each person shared one thing that they took away as far as an experience, one form of gratitude. And as soon as they were done, flicked it in the fire, and it was something that we shared. And it was something that stays with us forever. And the cool thing about rituals is they get passed on. So we went on and we did other storms after that. We worked the New Orleans hurricane, and I wasn't at that one, but it was the coolest thing in the world to hear. A bunch of the guys, they sent like videos and pictures of them running that same ritual. And then we were in Omaha, Nebraska, and the gang did the same exact thing. And that's the cool thing about rituals. They get passed on. So here's something for all of us to think about. Now, that's a pretty dramatic ritual, right? And I'm not saying that that's what you got to have in your business, but that's a powerful one. But what other rituals do you have in your business? Because rituals also, to a certain extent, means routines. What other rituals do you have in your business? And I'll just share a couple easy ones for you guys that we have, right? The moment someone joins our team, they come to one of our Monday meetings. And our Monday meetings is also a ritual. They come to our Monday meeting, and they get introduced to the rest of the team. We have, just like on a screen like this, we have their name up there, and we ask them to do this. And I want you to think about this. Imagine being a new member in a team, right? And there's 100 people in that room, and you don't know anybody, or maybe you know one person. It's not a very comfortable feeling. You kind of feel like the outsider. You're kind of going to figure out like where you're going to fit in. So what we do to make things even more uncomfortable for this individual, we call their name out, and then we pass them the microphone, and we say, hey, introduce yourself, please. Let us know who you are. And then they share who they are, and everyone gives them a nice round of applause. And the thought process there, that's not a big deal, right? But maybe we just made that person feel just a little bit more comfortable in that room because everyone's looking at them and giving them a round of applause. That's a ritual we have. Not a huge one. We have meetings every Monday. We have meetings every Wednesday. Every meeting on Monday is we just highlight all of our top performers in different divisions of our business, right? The top earners, the person who had the project of the week, who had the customer review of the week. And it's just an opportunity for us to recognize our top performers. And again, not just from a numbers perspective, but the people that are doing all the different things in our business that sometimes don't equate to numbers on a board, but man, they're making an impact. That's a ritual for us. And then every Wednesday, we have meetings like this, where it's myself or one of the other partners or one of the other leaders in the business that's adding value and developing people's minds. Because I'm a big believer in this. I believe that 80% is psychology and 20% is mechanics. And if you can't get this shit right, you'll never get that shit right out there, period. So we spend Wednesdays dialing in on this. Because how many people have you guys seen that are just extraordinary salespeople or extraordinary athletes, but because they couldn't get this right, they never amounted to anything? They've got all the right answers. They look the part. Man, you hear them speak. You're like, holy shit, this is going to be the greatest salesperson ever. And they're a flop. Has anyone had that happen in their business? Has anyone met someone like that before? We've seen that in athletes, haven't we? We've seen that in, like, I hate to say it, I'm not a Cowboys fan, so I can say this easily, like in Des Bryant. Insane athlete, insane skill. Why didn't people want that dude on their team? Something was a bit off. And I'm not saying that in a funny way or in a bad way, like he's got issues. But there's a reason why he wasn't being picked up by teams. And what we've realized over time is if we work on the psychology of people, we can get them in a better place. And one of the things that we do is we'll cover one session a week with a mental health coach. And it's on us, because we understand the importance of this. And it's not something they share with us. It's 100% private between them and the coach. But it's just an opportunity for us to invest in our people and invest in their mental health and their mental strength. We all have rituals, and the quicker you can define them and the quicker you can make your people a part of them, the quicker your business will grow. Let's get down to our final letter. E is for eternal. Eternal is like eternity, meaning it is forever. It lives long beyond yourself. Your culture must be eternal, and I'm going to tell you why. The true test of a great leader is not what gets accomplished in their presence. Rather, it's what gets accomplished in their absence. I'm just going to say that one more time because I think we should write that one down. The true test of a great leader is not what gets accomplished in their presence. Rather, it's what gets accomplished in their absence. Because culture is forever. It should be. It should live long beyond yourself. They say every man should do 3 things. 1, he should write a book. 2, he should plant a tree. And 3, have a son. Sorry, ladies. I didn't make that up, so don't get mad at me. Does anyone know why? Legacy. Those are 3 things that'll live far beyond yourself. And that's how I feel about culture. If you were to leave your business today and you've done a great job at instilling culture, the show will go on. Because you didn't try to hold it for yourself. You didn't try to be the guy or the gal that's just like, it's all around me, 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 me. You were more focused on the development of your people and giving them something that they can carry on forever. And truthfully, if you've done a great job at passing on culture, these are values that should stick with people for the rest of their lives. Because it ain't just a business thing. It's a personal thing as well. It's something that they should be able to take home. And I think this is probably where the biggest mistake is made in business in terms of scalability. We don't ever pass things on. Why? Because we want to remain in control. We want to remain in control of the systems. We want to remain in control of the processes. We want to remain in control of the culture. Me, 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 me. It revolves around me because it makes us feel important. It makes us feel good. It makes us feel special. It makes us feel like I'm still wanted and truthfully, I'm still needed. But that's a rookie mindset. That's an amateur mindset. The professional realizes, I got to go take on the next big task. I got to go take on the next big mission. Oh, we're going to do a private equity deal. Well, I want to be a part of that, and I need to make sure that whole thing is working out well. I need someone to step up and handle this. But if I'm carrying the culture and I got the code with me and I'm not sharing it, that thing ain't ever growing. You might as well get private equity out of your mind. When you treat the culture like it's a legacy and it will be carried on for generations to come, that's exactly what it should be. And you'll see it with all the great coaches that have ever existed. We got some college football fans in here? Yeah? We're in Texas, right? Yeah. Everyone's heard of Nick Saban? Does anyone know how many coaches have came from under Nick Saban, just roughly, that are winning coaches? What is that? Shit, that's more than I thought. Even better. Thank you for proving my point. I hope you're right. Are you? Okay, good man, good man. I appreciate it. I paid that guy right before this event. 11 coaches have came from Nick Saban, the winning coach. And what do you think the culture is like on those teams? Do you think it's similar to the culture at Alabama? Yeah, you're damn right it is. That's a great coach. That's a great leader. And that's his legacy, because he retired. Everyone saw that, right? What's his legacy now? 11 different coaches out there carrying on his name, carrying on his culture, carrying on his legacy. And that's the beautiful thing when you treat your culture like it's eternal. It's much greater than any of us. As I'm going to wrap this thing up, and here's what I want to promise you. If you take the things that we ran through today, and you truly apply them to your business, and you go back and you sit down with your business partners or your leadership team, your woman at home or your husband at home, and you sit down and you truly define your core principles. You get the leaders in the room, in the household, unified around the thought process, around the vision, around the end goal. You start communicating in a language that's positive, that's re-energizing, that's going to elevate people. You help them feel like they're a part of something that's much greater than themselves, and they truly feel like a tribe when they're with you. When they throw on the logo, it's more important this name than that name on the back. And you make them feel like a true tribe. And you bring a level of uniqueness to your team, something that makes your team stand out, something that makes you stand out. So from an attraction perspective, people are looking like, damn, I want to be a part of that team. And you give them something to show up for. And you have strong rituals. You have routines. You have things that you do that people know your business by. Yeah, that guy's going to develop me every single Wednesday. He's going to work on my mentality because we know how important that is. They got rituals and routines in this business. They're not just winging this thing. And if you treat your culture like it's something that's going to last for eternity, it is eternal. And you realize it's far greater than you, and it's more important that for your own legacy, that you pass it on and you share with everyone the things that you've learned and the things that maybe we talked about today and the skills that you've acquired and the wisdom that you have, and you put it all together. What's the first thing that we said? It'll lead to a strong, positive, winning culture. And what is that? It's undefeated against time, baby. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.